It felt intimate, but it wasn't. Intimacy requires two people. By that point, Ben was just meat.
I don't know if I agree with that last line, by the way.
This author, wait, what line don't you agree with?
Intimacy requires two people. I've been very intimate.
That's the part I was afraid you were going to agree with.
Come on, man.
Don't say that on the podcast.
Come on, dude. You know what's actually funny? To tie that in, if intimate with yourself, right? I just
you say the craziest things and just diverge. Go ahead. Whatever.
I just want to say that I saw everybody in their life has a human cryptid. It's true. And mine, his name was Mr. Floppy. And the reason that is because I know very well that a man can be intimate with himself is because I remember one time at a sleepover, we sat there and a kid excused himself. He's like, I feel sick. I'm going to go to sleep. Like, all right, who gives a shit? We're playing MLB The Show on PS2. Great game. Go upstairs, and before we know it, we hear him like giggling in the room, and we hear like and we're like, that's disgusting. We know what he's doing. But when we heard he was talking to himself in the room, Isaiah, and he was saying, it's so floppy. So floppy. Like he was flopping it back and forth, and we never said anything about it, but we made an inside joke, and we called him Mr. Floppy for the rest of our lives. And I ran into him at the grocery store the other day.
If I do it, I'm killing you first.
Why? What? Do you not have your own cryptid kind of character in your life?
It would be cruel to push this onto someone else, I've decided.
Okay, man. Come on. You tell me you don't think that also we were young, Mr. Floppy, that boy, I don't know what was going on, but there were some noises being made. It was disturbing, right? So floppy. I saw him.
What are you even talking about?
What do you mean? What am I talking about?
I'm like, my ears are ringing right now. I'm starting to sweat. I'm getting like.
And I'll tell you what was the most disturbing part about it is that he had pistachio muffins in his cart.
No, he didn't.
Who wants that?
No, you know what? At this point, no, he didn't. I don't know what you're talking about.
So I said,
"There's no way."
I said, "Derek, it's nice to see you." He's like, "Oh my God, it's been so long," and I knew that he was just packing some heat in his pants, so I didn't get too close. But I saw that he had 4 trays of pistachio muffins. And that, to me, that was like a new thing and more lore. If you eat a lot of pistachios, maybe it makes you well endowed. That motherfucker had pistachio muffins out the woo-ha.
What do you think listeners' response to things like this is? Do you think they hear this and they're like, wow, that's so...
You know what, man? Sorry that I'm just trying to tell you bits of my life, of things that are going on. I thought that,
for one,
it pertained to what we had here.
Absolutely should be, to be fair. How does this pertain to what we're talking about? How does this in any way
requires two people. Intimacy requires two people. I said, I disagree. I know that people can be very intimate with themselves. And now you're talking about
a guy in a store with the pistachio muffins.
Mr.
What
Floppy!
is the connection?
Mr. Floppy.
What does that have to do with an astronaut?
It has nothing to do with the astronaut, but it has to do with the intimacy with two people. Mr. Floppy was very intimate with himself. That's all I had to say. And I was going to say that the rest of it was very well written, and that's I love the visual of the swollen joints and having to put somebody basically into a giant goddamn Ziploc bag. But then I couldn't get past the Mr. Floppy thing. I thought it pertained. I'm sorry if it didn't. I apologize if it doesn't.
Maybe I can say like the right combination of words to get the podcast taken off of YouTube, and then maybe that would be enough to get me out of the obligations for it. I bet I could come up with some colorful ones right now.
I'm surprised. I actually thought that you would be somewhat intrigued by what I had to say, but I'll keep it to myself.
I'm going to drop words you haven't heard of before if it gets me out of this.
God.
Every syllable.
Lovecraftian dialect of something I've never heard before.